Welcome back to Talk Tickers, where we, break down these earnings calls and try to, give you the insights that you need to know. And today we're diving into Citi Trends Q3 2024 report. And let me tell you, there's a lot to unpack here. We're seeing a stock surge, a new CEO shaking things up, and a strategy that's all about, bringing back that treasure hunt feeling.
Yeah, what's really interesting here is how Citi Trends is really blending a back to basics approach with some pretty innovative tactics. It's not just about surviving in this environment. It's about aiming for a full-blown retail comeback.
Okay, so let's start with the big picture here. Citi Trends, known for their, urban apparel and home goods, they just had a really strong quarter, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they exceeded revenue expectations.
Yeah.
And more importantly, they saw a 5.7% increase in comparable store sales. I mean, that's a significant jump, especially considering the retail environment we're in these days.
So what's driving this growth? Is it just about clever marketing, or are there some fundamental changes happening at Citi Trends?
Well, it's a combination of factors. First, they had to clear out some old inventory earlier this year, which meant taking some strategic markdowns. Now they're seeing the benefits of that move as their new CEO, Ken Cypill, brings in a tighter, more focused product assortment.
So it sounds like Cypill's really putting his stamp on the company. But how exactly is he changing things up?
Well, he's laser focused on Citi Trends' core customer, the value-conscious shopper, the shopper who's looking for trendy, affordable apparel and home goods. And he's doing it by doubling down on what Citi Trends has always been known for, that, treasure hunt experience.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break down this treasure hunt strategy for me. What does it actually look like, in practice?
Well, imagine walking into a Citi Trends store and finding amazing deals on branded footwear.
Yeah.
Or maybe discovering unique pieces you wouldn't find anywhere else. I mean, that's the feeling they're going for.
So they're creating that sense of excitement and surprise that keeps people coming back for more.
Exactly. And they're backing it up with strategic merchandising. So think strategically placed items under $5, like socks and underwear, to draw shoppers in. And then they surround those with slightly higher priced items that offer more style or quality.
Like a calculated maze designed to maximize those basket sizes.
You got it. It's a classic retail strategy, but Citi Trends is executing it with a renewed focus. And it seems to be working. They're seeing increased customer traffic and larger basket sizes, which is translating into those, impressive sales figures we talked about earlier.
Now, it hasn't all been smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
I read that they've been battling some challenges, particularly with shoplifting and inventory loss, also known as shrink.
That's true. Shrink is a major concern for a lot of retailers these days, and Citi Trends is no exception. It's been putting a drag on their margins, but they're not just sitting idly by.
So what are they doing to combat this issue?
Well, they're taking a multi-pronged approach. They're implementing new security measures, investing in employee training to better spot and prevent theft. And they're even partnering with a third-party restitution program. It's a serious issue they're tackling head-on.
That's good to hear. They're not just ignoring the problem. So we've got a new CEO, a back-to-basic strategy with a treasure hunt twist, and a proactive approach to addressing shrink. Where does that leave Citi Trends in terms of future growth?
Well, they're not just focused on fixing what's broken. They're also investing in expansion and making their stores more inviting. They're in the process of remodeling a third of their locations, giving them a more modern and engaging look and feel.
It sounds like they're trying to create a more appealing shopping experience overall.
Exactly. And they're already scouting locations for new store openings. They see real potential to grow their footprint and reach even more customers, especially in markets where they can, establish a dominant presence.
So they're playing offense and defense simultaneously. That's encouraging. But can they afford all of this? What does their financial health look like?
Well, their financial position is actually one of their biggest strengths. They're currently debt-free and sitting on a healthy cash reserve of $39 million. They've even restarted their stock buyback program.
Whoa, debt-free and buying back stock. That's a powerful combination. It definitely signals confidence in their future. But let's be honest, retail is a notoriously tough industry.
You're not wrong. But Citi Trends seems to be finding its footing again. They've got a clear strategy, a dedicated leadership team, and the financial resources to back it all up. It'll be interesting to see how they continue to execute on their turnaround plan.
It's definitely a story worth watching. And speaking of watching, stay tuned because in part 2, we'll be diving even deeper into some of the nuances and implications of Citi Trends' turnaround strategy by taking a closer look at their earnings call transcript. We'll be back after a quick break. Welcome back to Talk Tickers. We're deep in the trenches of Citi Trends' Q3 earnings call. And now it's time to get our hands dirty with the transcript itself.
Yeah, there are some real gems buried in there, details that give us a clearer picture of how this comeback story is unfolding.
Okay, so let's unearth those gems. What stood out to you?
Well, one phrase that kept popping up was a GMROI, gross margin return on investment. And it's a metric that's, crucial in retail because it tells you how much profit you're squeezing out of every dollar you invest in inventory.
Okay, I'm no finance guru, but that sounds pretty important. So how is Citi Trends doing in this department?
They're making significant strides. Imagine you're running a store, right? You don't want shelves packed with stuff that's just gathering dust. You want every item to be a lean, mean, profit-making machine. And that's what Citi Trends is achieving through, smarter product allocation, strategic markdowns, and a bigger focus on selling at full price.
So it's not just about bringing in trendy merchandise. It's about managing that inventory efficiently.
Precisely. And this ties into another interesting point from the transcript. Their focus on streamlining the supply chain. They've actually managed to shave 2 weeks off the time it takes to get products from vendors to store shelves.
That's pretty impressive, actually. Why is that so important?
Well, speed is everything in retail, especially when you're catering to, a trend-conscious customer. That faster turnaround means Citi Trends can react more nimbly to what's hot, replenish popular items quickly, and avoid those dreaded markdowns that, eat into profit.
So they're becoming more agile and responsive to customer demand.
Exactly. It's like they've got their finger on the pulse of what shoppers want, and they're able to deliver it faster than ever before.
Now, you mentioned hot sellers. Was there anything specific in the transcript that caught your eye?
Yeah, CEO Ken Cypill highlighted the success of their children's apparel category. That makes sense, right? Back-to-school shopping is a major event for families.
Totally. But it sounds like Citi Trends didn't just ride that wave and then let it fizzle out.
Right. The transcript reveals a pretty savvy inventory strategy. They're strategically allocating those, popular kids' clothes to stores with strong sales trends, even after the back-to-school rush has subsided.
So they're maximizing the lifespan of those in-demand items and making sure the right products are in the right stores at the right time.
It all goes back to that data-driven approach we talked about earlier. They're using data to inform their decisions and squeeze every bit of profit out of their inventory.
It's like they've cracked the code on smart retail management. But let's not forget about that treasure hunt experience we talked about in part 1.
Oh, they haven't forgotten. The transcript mentions a recent hire, a seasoned off-price specialist, someone who's got a knack for sniffing out those, incredible bargains.
So they're bringing in the big guns to source those hidden gems.
Exactly. And they're strategically timing those releases to create buzz and drive traffic. Remember that branded footwear deal we discussed earlier? Well, it's hitting shelves right now, just in time for the holiday shopping frenzy.
Talk about perfect timing. They're tapping into that sense of urgency and excitement that gets people opening their wallets.
It's a classic retail tactic, but it's particularly effective in today's world where consumers are, bombarded with marketing messages. People crave authenticity and value, and that's exactly what the treasure hunt experience delivers.
So they're optimizing operations, managing inventory like pros, and creating that exciting shopping experience.
Yeah.
What's next on their agenda?
Growth. They're investing in store remodels to give a third of their locations a modern, engaging vibe. And we're not talking just a fresh coat of paint here. They're rethinking the layout, the signage, the entire customer experience.
So they're creating a more enticing shopping environment that aligns with their brand and target customer.
Right. It's all about elevating the experience and making it, more appealing to walk through those doors. And the results speak for themselves. The transcript reveals that remodeled stores are seeing higher comparable sales.
Which makes perfect sense. A more inviting atmosphere, coupled with that treasure hunt excitement, is bound to attract more shoppers and encourage them to spend.
Exactly. But they're not stopping there. They're also scouting locations for new store openings, focusing on markets where they can become the go-to destination for their target customer.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
So we've got store remodels, new store openings. It sounds like they're really putting their money where their mouth is.
They are, and they have the financial firepower to do it. As we discussed, they're debt-free with a healthy cash reserve, and they've even restarted their stock buyback program.
Those are strong signals of confidence, both in their current position and their future prospects.
Absolutely. They're not just talking the talk. They're walking the walk. Yeah. It's a compelling combination.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. digging deep into the transcript and uncovering some intriguing details. But before we get too carried away with the excitement, let's shift gears and talk about some of the potential risks and uncertainties that Citi Trends faces.
Yeah, it's important to look at both sides of the coin, and we'll delve into those challenges when we return for part 3.
All right, so we're back for the final stretch here on Talk Techers, and it's time to put on our analytical hats and, consider the bigger picture here. Citi Trends is showing some impressive momentum, but as we all know, the retail landscape can be pretty unpredictable.
Oh, absolutely. It's important to remember that this is still a turnaround story. And, while they've made great progress, there are still some challenges ahead, for sure.
So let's play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
What are some potential roadblocks they might encounter?
Well, as we discussed earlier, shrink continues to be a major issue for the retail industry as a whole, and Citi Trends is no exception. Even with all the steps they're taking to try to mitigate it, shoplifting and inventory loss, those can really eat into profits and make it harder to invest in future growth.
Yeah, it's like a constant battle they have to wage. What else should investors be keeping an eye on?
Well, they need to execute flawlessly on this turnaround plan. I mean, it sounds simple, but, think about all the moving parts here, making sure their merchandising strategies are resonating with customers, ensuring store remodels are completed on time and on budget, and, selecting the right locations for new store openings. Any misstep along the way could really slow down their progress.
And then there's always the economic wild card. I mean, a recession could put a real damper on consumer spending, especially on discretionary items like apparel, right?
That's a valid concern for sure. I mean, during tough economic times, people tend to prioritize essentials, and a trip to Citi Trends for a new outfit, well, that might not be at the top of the list. Their core customer, who tends to be more value conscious, might be particularly affected.
So how can Citi Trends navigate these potential headwinds? Is their focus on value, like enough to weather a storm?
Well, their emphasis on value could actually be a major advantage during a downturn. If they can offer even better deals than their competitors, they might be able to attract those customers who are looking to stretch their budgets.
Yeah, it's like a built-in safety net in a way.
Exactly. They can also double down on, their everyday essentials and family basics, the things people need regardless of the economic climate. And don't forget about the power of their online presence, right? Yeah. They can reach customers who might be cutting back on in-store shopping trips due to the economy or whatever.
It's all about adaptability and having a plan B or even a plan C. So we've talked about the risks, but let's flip the script for a moment. What's the bull case for Citi Trends? What's got you excited about their potential?
Well, their target market is a major growth opportunity. The African American population in the U.S. is projected to continue increasing, and Citi Trends is, perfectly positioned to cater to this demographic. With its understanding of their needs and preferences, it's really a good spot to be in.
They've got that built-in brand loyalty, too.
Right. They've cultivated a really strong reputation within their target market, and that's not something you can just build overnight. Plus, their treasure hunt model gives them a unique edge. It's not just about price, It's about the experience, that thrill of finding something special at a great price.
Yeah, it's like a retail adventure.
Exactly. And they're not resting on their laurels. They're making strategic investments in their business, from store remodels to supply chain improvements to inventory management systems. These aren't just cosmetic changes. They're laying the groundwork for long-term sustainable growth,
And let's not forget about their rock-solid financial position. No debt and plenty of cash on hand give them the flexibility to maneuver and seize opportunities as they arise.
It's a powerful combination. They've got the vision, the strategy, and the resources to make this comeback a reality. But as we said earlier, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Patience is key for investors. So where does that leave us? Citi Trends is clearly on an upward trajectory, but there's still some hurdles to overcome along the way.
It's a compelling story, full of potential and intrigue. But ultimately, whether they can fully reclaim their position as a retail powerhouse, well, that remains to be seen,
Now, before we wrap up, let's have some fun with our This Is Not Financial Advice segment. We've analyzed the numbers, we've dissected the transcript. Now it's time for some wild speculation. What's an outrageous but plausible trade idea that comes to mind?
Okay, hear me out on this one. What if Citi Trends tapped into that, booming subscription box trend?
Intriguing. What would that look like for a retailer like Citi Trends?
Well, imagine curated boxes filled with stylish, affordable clothing, accessories, maybe even some home goods, all tailored to their core customers' taste and preferences.
Yeah, they could even lean into their treasure hunt concept
Yeah.
by adding like surprise bonus items or limited edition pieces.
Exactly. It would create a sense of excitement, anticipation, and exclusivity. Plus, they could gather valuable data about customer preferences and use that to personalize the boxes over time, making them even better.
Yeah, it's a bold idea, but it could be a game changer for them.
Of course, this is purely hypothetical and definitely not financial advice.
Agreed. It's just fun to explore the possibilities. Now, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. Citi Trends is making a comeback. They've got the ingredients for success: a solid plan, a strong financial foundation, and a loyal customer base.
But the retail world is constantly evolving, right? Can they stay ahead of the curve, adapt to new challenges, and seize emerging opportunities? That's the million-dollar question.
Only time will tell. We'll be watching closely. And we'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of earnings calls. Thanks for joining us on Talk Tickers.
And remember, always do your own research before making any investment decisions.